Leap's a point of sale application. It's digitizing every stage of the in-home sales experience. So this includes helping you create documents like surveys and assessments, importing measurements to generate estimates in seconds, storing your sales materials such as manufacturer brochures, before and after photos, videos, links, and sales presentations. Also accounting for financing costs and submitting applications. And of course, creating one-of-a-kind proposals and ironclad contracts to help you win the job. We're going to move on to our speaker, joined today by Steve Stencil. Steve spent 7+ years as one of the top sales reps at a local home improvement company here in Maryland, and he realized that there had to be a better, more efficient way of doing business. So thus, Steve created Leap. Now, there's a lot more in between their process of, joining as a sales rep of a home improvement company to having the product of Leap that hundreds of contractors are utilizing today. I'm sure it took Steve countless time to create that, develop it, and fine tune it as we continue to do today with feedback from you all. So with that, Steve, I'm going to pass it over to you and let you take this away. I'll come back, about midway through, let you catch your breath, and then we'll go through the rest of it and have time for Q&A at the end. So again, if you have questions throughout this, please utilize that control, type them in there, and we'll be sure to get them answered for you. Thanks.
All right, great. Thanks, Tom. So I just wanted to jump in. I'm going to give you a little kind of overview of Leap and why it was created, and give you some real world I guess experience. Like, I was a sales rep in the house selling deals, and initially created Leap just to make my life easier. And over the last 4 years, I think, when Leap became available to really anyone who wanted to use it, I realized how technology not just helped myself, but really helped multiple businesses as sales reps, people working in the business who don't necessarily sit at the kitchen table with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, but are affected by everything that the sales rep does in the house. Because let's face it, if you don't have sales, then you don't have a business. So I feel like the whole home improvement industry kind of starts at the kitchen table, where the sale is made, and that's really where Leap comes into play. More so today than any other time, with the whole COVID thing going on, being remote, digital, and contactless, and social distancing, technology has never played a role bigger than it has today, and that is proven by our analytics. So this is real analytics directly from Leap. This is not Bloomberg data or anything off the news or anything. This is stuff that we pulled out of the Apple App Store from the activity that's in our iOS application. So this is activity from sales reps actually sitting at the kitchen table using our app. And you see, since January of 2019, we pretty much had steady growth. There is a dip right around Christmas time, which is normal in the home improvement industry, and you see it just fully recovered. First quarter, it was kind of like record breaking. COVID hit, and we had a huge drop off in usage. But then, everybody always talks about the V, and once there's a recession, there's this huge recovery that comes out of it. And our analytics shows that the home improvement industry is bigger than it's ever been. People, I guess, sitting in their homes, being quarantined, they're noticing things that need to be done around the house, and then they're calling contractors and having people, come out and fix this stuff. Well, one of the things that being digital, having a digital sales process in this type of environment, is it allows you to sell the stuff completely digitally. All this analytics that you're looking at here, all these are digital contracts, digital estimates, digital credit applications, all being sent through our platform. And we are currently seeing record usage across our entire system. So what I want to talk about today is just some 10 critical components to make a more profitable sale. There's 10 things that we kind of picked out that Leap really helps. Prepare your business for continued impact of COVID, and future crises. So you don't know what the future is going to bring. And one of the things I had a customer tell us that I've been asking around, like, hey, how are you guys doing? Anytime I talk to a customer, I'm like, hey, how is it going with COVID? How's Leap helped you? And one of the customers that told me, he's like, I don't know. He's like, if it wasn't for Leap, I don't know how we could have sold anything during those 2-3 months where we were quarantined. Because if you can't go to the customer's house or send them a contract to be digitally signed, if you're not using software period in your sales process, selling in a time when it's contactless is next to impossible. So we have implementing a software sales solution that enables you to have both virtual and in-home sales conversations. So our software allowed companies where normally it was built for sales reps to sit at the kitchen table and use our software to sign contracts with your finger. It allows companies to easily pivot to be able to sell remotely. And a couple switches. I remember we used to always talk about, hey, a company who was using Leap, if somebody waved a magic wand and everything went digital, and now you had to sell the same way, like kind of how retail went digital with Amazon, and everybody was buying home improvements online now. How would companies survive? And most of the time, if they weren't using anything digital, they wouldn't survive. Well, that kind of happened. Like somebody waved the magic wand, COVID came, and now everybody has to sell digital. Well, companies who were already adopting an in-home sales solution, like a digital sales solution, like Leap, were able to just flip a couple switches and turn what their sales reps are already used to selling in the house into something that now that they can sell over the internet, over Zoom or GoToMeeting or a webinar, just like we're doing now. So it will also allow sales reps to spend less time in the house, so they're more efficient. You can find a way to process credit cards much more securely when you're doing a digital sales solution, which because most of the time, especially if you're using like carbon copy contracts or even a digital or an editable PDF, a lot of companies are still writing credit card numbers down on contracts. And when you adopt a digital solution, it allows you to capture those payments securely. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is remote measurements. Tools like Hover and EagleView, like we integrate directly with. And this was a tool that a lot of our contractors used to gather the measurements. Like if you're measuring roofing, you could easily just put a push pin on the customer's house from your home office, get a EagleView report that will give you all the measurements. We integrate directly with them. So sales reps will pull in that EagleView report. It will populate all of their measurements. It would then calculate a good, better, and best estimate inside of our software. And then we could send the homeowner a proposal directly from Leap with very minimal input. All of that information would tie back into a CRM, so you have a complete record of what the sales rep did from A to Z, and it just looks much more professional to the customer, and you don't have to go back out to their house. Now that's in a COVID environment, but there's no real reason why you can't do this any other time. Getting remote measurements helps cut down on training sales reps how to measure a job. So if you want to train and measure windows or siding or gutters or roofing, anything exterior, remote measurement tools can really cut down on the training, cut down on the errors that go along with manual measurements. It's much more believable to the homeowner. I remember when I used to do in-home sales, I would sit with the homeowner and show them the report that I got back of how all the measurements came back and how I translated those measurements into a price that I'm presenting to them. So there was no real human element or human error that went along with doing remote measurements. The other one, better communication with homeowners using customized photos and other visuals. Visuals are just so much easier. If you're able to draw, a little floor plan, which is shown in this first image, you have the 3D model. Like if you're familiar with Hover, it allows you to take pictures of the exteriors of the customer's house, and you can change all the roofing and siding and windows and gutters, etc., on the house. And then you can present that to the homeowner and show them what their house will look like before they even sign a contract. You can also draw on top of the photos. So you can, in the last screenshot that you're looking there on the slide, you can see where somebody had drew on the house where the gutters are going to be installed. So this is really important, not just for the homeowner and the sales rep when they're signing the contract, but also when it comes time for installation, because a lot of times there's somebody else who comes in and actually interprets what was sold in the house, by reading the contract, and then translates that into work orders and order forms and information they need to give the subcontractors or contractors to go out there and install it. So by having photos and the rep drawing on there, the customer initialing it, details typed in about highlighted things that are included and things that are not including, just visuals in general is much more, it's much better for the sales rep, the homeowner, and the installer. The other one is presenting information and pricing consistently. And actually on this, I just want to tell you another story of a customer that this was actually recent. I think it was right before COVID broke out, and a customer told us that they had a local news station where they're doing like an undercover thing, getting estimates for basement waterproofing. And they were getting estimates for a house in the city and pretty much the same exact house, or at least the same size house in the county. And they wanted to see which contractors would, if the prices were the same. So they had, I don't know how many, let's say it was 5 or 10 contractors come out, and I can't remember exactly what happened. If the city house was more expensive or the county house was more expensive, I don't remember the end result. But the contractor was telling us that they were the only company that when they priced the job, they were the same price on both houses. Every other company that was part of that news segment or an investigation segment came up with different prices. And the reason is because depending on the sales rep that goes out there, they're going to measure it differently. Some are going to round up, some are going to round down, some are going to add 1, some will add 0, and they're going to come up with a different price than, if they go and measure it the same exact house a second time, or a different rep comes out and measures the same house a second time. Because there's no, it's not perfect. You're not going to come up with the penny the exact time. So with Leap, since the pricing is pretty much the same for everyone inside of the app, when the rep goes in, they type in their measurements. The only thing that could differ are the measurements. So if the rep just comes up, pulls a tape measure and comes up with the same numbers as the other guy, the app is going to spit out the same price every single time. So again, just makes training easier. It's much more transparent for your homeowners. And in this case, it looks so much better when they ran that news segment for this, this particular contractor, where he was the same price no matter which house he went to. The other one is to increase your professional looks with digital contracts, and not just contracts, but just documents altogether. So just in today's day and age, everything is digital. Everybody does everything on their smartphone. They have, I read a statistic the one time that if you text message a customer, they will read it within 8 seconds of receiving it. Where before email was all, the rage, and, everybody now does spam filters and the unsubscribes, and they just get bombarded with emails. Text messages now, because everything is just digital, people, it's right in their pocket. So there's no reason why your documents should be analog. You should not be carrying around carbon copy contracts, and even an editable PDF, because imagine, sending a customer a contract. If you handwrite it and scan it in, or you fill out something digital, whether it's a Word document or an editable PDF, and you send that to the homeowner to go over. Now, a proposal, that will be fine, but if you want the customer to sign it, what would that look like? Your customer would have to print it out, sign it, scan it back in, and then email it back to you. Well, now there's the original copy that you have that has no signature on it, that you scanned, the copy that the customer has that they signed that might not have the sales rep signature on it, and then another digital copy that got printed out at the home office. So, with a software like Leap, you can have all of your documents, a proposal, a contract, automatically generated from what was typed in the estimate phase. So you can go in, fill out the estimate, good, better, best, have that auto-generated proposal or a contract, send that to the homeowner. We have built-in integrations with software like DocuSign, which allows the customer to sign it with their smartphone. There's no printing it out. You can literally just sign it from your email, click a button, hit sign, hit next, and all that information was sent back to the home office. The look of, imagine that a sales rep comes in, you have 3 scenarios. A sales rep comes in and he handwrites a proposal and gives it to the homeowner. Another sales rep comes in and he says, hey, I'll email you the proposal, or let's say it's a contract. He emails the contract, the customer has to sign it and print it out. Third guy comes in, he's using Leap instantly. He can pull in measurements, calculate a price, show the homeowner a 3D model, generate into the proposal, a contract, customer signs it with their finger, and it's in everybody's inbox with all the signatures on it. Much more professional. The other thing, we're going to reduce the time required to close the sale. So Leap allows you to price out multiple options for the homeowners. I'll tell you a story of one time. This is really how this feature came about. I was sitting in a customer's house and they wanted a price on 3 different not real brands, but like model numbers of windows, because one was related to a homeowners association, required them to have brown windows on the front of the house, and then they didn't want to pay for brown on the back of the house, and they also didn't want to pay for the upgraded windows in the sunroom, because it was basically just like a glorified screened-in porch, and they didn't want top of the line windows in it. So at the time, I was using an Excel spreadsheet, and I had no way to price them 3 different options, on the same exact project. So That's when I went to, I was working on Leap at the time, and I went in there and said, okay, I'm going to figure out a way that I can quickly calculate a price, because I didn't want to have to sit there with a calculator and tell Mr. and Mrs. Jones to give me a minute or 5 minutes or whatever to work up a new number, because that was a minute or 5 minutes that Mr. and Mrs. Jones leaves the kitchen table, and my chances of closing the deal right then and there plummet. The other one is, creating customized contracts and proposals instantly. So when I finally get the go ahead, if I was using any type of other software, whether it was an editable PDF that I could easily just fill out, or I was handwriting a contract, I had to take, even if it was a minute or 5 minutes, say, okay, well, give me a second, and I'm pulling out the paperwork, and it's just like that awkward step of, okay, well, just give me a minute. I just need some silence or concentration to write all this up. Leap, I literally would just click next, fill in, maybe a color selection or two, and within 30 seconds, I have a contract that I can present to the homeowner for them to sign. So it's much quicker. Eliminate the need to manually deliver the contract to the office. We would have sales reps where they started putting a penalty in place if the sales rep did not get their documents back to the office. I think it was within 48 hours. They would get a fine. I forget what I say, like $50 or something like that. Because a sales rep will sell a deal, the homeowner would hear nothing for 48 hours, 2 days, and then imagine the sales rep sold it on a Saturday. Sunday, nobody's at the office. And the sales rep doesn't turn it in until Tuesday. The customer isn't getting called till Wednesday morning. They signed the contract on Saturday. It's just a bad experience all the way around. When you have a digital sales process, the documents are at the home office in whoever's inbox or CRM or wherever it needs to be instantly before the sales rep even leaves the customer's house. The other one is providing finance options and getting approvals on the spot. I think I have a separate slide for this, but providing finance options to the homeowner increases your dollars per ticket. It will increase your closing percentage and increase your profit margins because the customer is just more willing to spend more money if they're paying a monthly payment. If you look at car advertisements, they always advertise the monthly payment. They don't. You'll see the sticker price written real small somewhere in the bottom on the screen, if that. But they always advertise the monthly payment because the monthly payment is a lot easier to swallow than the total sticker amount or writing a check for that amount. The other thing is, one of the owners of the company that I used to work for, he used to always say, would always do this thing. Let's say you're selling a deal for $10,000, and he would ask anybody in the room, say there's 30 people in the room, to raise their hand if they can write a check for $10,000. And you would get a couple hands that would go up, but very few. There wasn't too many people that could just stroke a check out of their bank account right now for $10,000 and not miss a beat. But then he said, okay, raise your hand if you can afford, $120 a month. And almost everyone's hands in the room would go up because, $120 is a lot easier to stomach than $10,000. So it's the same thing with customers. They can, a lot more people can afford $100 a month than they can afford to write a $10,000 check out of our bank account. So with that, I want to take it says water break, but I'm going to take a tea break. And Tom, if you wanted to
Steve,
jump in.
thanks. Yeah, but before you do that, I just wanted to. I know you've told, and you've got a really great story about the way that Leap customizes contracts and how it kind of came to fruition with the whole HOA experience. If you don't mind just sharing that story quickly.
Yeah, it's a great story. So I ran this lead, and when I would run leads, I would always look around the community at all the other houses just to see if maybe a neighbor had replaced a roof, and I could see like point that out, say, hey, well, your neighbor did it. Looks like this. This is the style they went with. One of the things I learned in doing sales, I've been doing sales since I was 16. And one of the things I learned is like creating a sense of ownership for the homeowner, like trying to make your product feel like it is theirs. That's why they always, like you go into a store, they always put the product in your hand, like they'll put the cell phone in your hand or whatever. So when I'm driving around the community, I was always look at the houses just to see what was out there. One of the things I would always pick out, I was usually pretty good at being able to tell if the community had a homeowners association or not. And you could tell just by everything was same color or same style. And if I've seen that there was a homeowners association in the neighborhood, I would make sure that when I would pitch that lead, I only pitched the types of products that homeowner could buy. For an example, we have this one town, was actually where our office is, Columbia, Maryland, where a lot of houses have vertical siding, like T111 siding or board and batten siding. So the homeowner association just will not allow them to have horizontal siding. So when I would go pitch those leads, I would only pitch the board and batten. I would say, hey, this is this, and this brand and blah, 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 and the board men. I would never mention horizontal siding. So this particular lead, it was for a roof, and it was a townhouse community that I knew had a homeowners association. Everybody's roof was black, and it was 3-tab shingles, which is just, it wasn't a top of the line shingle. And the 3-tab shingle that we sell, it wasn't top of the line, but it also wasn't bottom of the barrel. It was like a middle of the road. It was a good 3-tab shingle. It came with a 25-year warranty. So when I pitched that lead, I pitched only the 25-year shingle. There was no sense in pitching the lifetime warranty shingle because I would never be able to get it installed. When I sold the deal, and when I got to the end of writing up the contract, at the time I didn't have Leap, but I was handwriting it, and at the bottom of the contract, or throughout it, they had spots that I would fill in the color, and I fill in the manufacturer, the style. I would fill in which drip edge or ridge vent we're including. And there was one spot on there I remember particularly that said platinum warranty included, and it had a spot that was yes or no. And on this particular shingle, I had to check no. And I've done this 100 other times, and it was never an issue. But this particular customer stands out because when I went over this contract with this lady, she was just asking. She was one of the ones that just read front and back of the contract, which is fine. But she got to the part about the platinum warranty. She's like, well, what is the platinum warranty? And I was like, well, it's an upgraded warranty that you can get with a lifetime warranty shingle. And then she's like, well, why don't this one come with a lifetime? I thought it was a great shingle. And I was like, well, it was. So then it was like I was overcoming objections at the time of signing a contract, and I was trying to explain why she cannot get a lifetime warranty shingle. And then, of course, this lady says, well, she sits on the board of the HOA, and she guarantees that she can get it approved through the homeowners association. And then now I'm like, well, I don't want to tell the lady, no, she can't get it approved, because now I'm kind of challenging her. And now I'm stuck in this spot where I have to pitch miss this lead because I have to wait for this lady to now go through her HOA. And it was going to be the same end result of her not, being able to get the roof put on anyway. And actually, the lady never even came back. I don't know what ended up happening to her. We didn't I lost the deal. I didn't sign up the contract. And when I left that house, I said, there has to be a way that I can generate a document that I present to the homeowner with only the information that is relevant to their project. So that way, when I'm going over the contract with them, I'm just talking about all yeses. Yes, you're getting this and this and this and this and this, and all the details about their specific project are printed on the document, no more and no less. And the only way I could think to do that, but besides what we came up with Leap, was for a contractor to give the sales rep a blank contract that basically just has a letterhead and a signature box with a big empty body in the middle, and rely on sales reps to fill in all the details. And the sales rep just handwrites or types all the details. But that's not scalable because you have human error. Sales reps are naturally lazy. They don't want to, they forget things. They're quick. They just want to get out of the house and get the sale done. Then it comes time to install, and you have a rep, or you have a contract that was filled out by a rep that just would cut a bunch of corners. The other option is to do what most contractors do and have a one-size-fits-all contract that has all the fields on it that the rep marks NA, checks yes or no, blah, blah, blah. But then you run into the scenario that I did. With Leap, I would love if nobody has seen it, anybody who's on this webinar, one of the most powerful parts of our software is the document engine, which in turn is used for contracts. And it allows you to build your documents to expand the contract like an accordion. So you can have fields added depending on conditions. So, if you sell this particular shingle, the platinum warranty line shows. If they don't sell that type of shingle, then it just says 25-year warranty, no platinum information, none of that. It'll just say exactly the information that goes with that project. So, then I was like, I know how I can build this thing. I had an epiphany. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I was driving back from Myrtle Beach on a family vacation, and we always drove at night when we drive to Myrtle Beach because we had 2 kids, and we would let them sleep while we were driving, right? Because driving with kids, it can become hectic. I just had a epiphany, like, I know how it has to happen. And that's really where our contractor document engine came about, was all because of that lead, and then me thinking about I needed to expand the contract depending on what I added on the estimate.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a great story. I'm going to launch a poll here real quickly. If you're interested in kind of what Steve's been talking about and want to see more about how that document engine works, we'd love to show you that in a one-on-one demo. So we are actually giving away an Amazon Echo Dot if you sign up for a demo. So we'll leave this poll up here for a couple more seconds here. If you're interested, just click yes. We know that we get a lot of people that are already using Leap that come on for to learn more and figure out different things that they may not have implemented yet. So if you already use Leap, we appreciate it. You can just check that box there. So give this one more second. I'll go ahead and close this, and then we'll let Steve carry on and continue on with his. I think we're at 5 more steps. So let me close this. All
Right.
right, Steve, you have control. Appreciate it.
Cool. So the other thing, point number 6, I want to talk about is just I alluded to it on the previous 2 slides. I think is just offer multiple finance options. So again, just going back to when I used to do in-home sales, I think I closed it by when I left. I think it was 52% of all the leads that I ran, and we were a one-call close company, so I had to sell it the day that I ran the lead. I can count times on one hand in 7 years that I had what we call B-backs, which is a customer. I don't sell it that day, and they would call me back and say, okay, let's do it. So one of the tools or tricks that I would use is I would always lead with financing, even if the customer is going to pay cash. Again, it just goes back to how many people in a room. If ask anybody in a room of 20 plus people who can afford to stroke a check for 10 grand for a home improvement, for anything really, you'll get a couple hands, if any. How many people can stroke a check for $100 a month? You'll get a lot more hands. And so when I was pitching this thing, I would always pitching at the lower number. And this is nothing that I invented. This is just sales in general. If you look at, they sell cell phones always on a monthly payment now. Cars are always sold on a monthly payment. Everybody's always buying things off a monthly payment. So when you offer financing, I promise you won't sell less deals. Worst case scenario, the customer says, no, I'd rather pay cash. But it just makes it easier to lead with financing. The other thing I would do is I would always offer a no money down option, and I would secure it with financing, because when you secure financing, customer in most states can pay it off without a prepayment penalty. So you can say, hey, you can get the job done. We'll do, set it up with financing, and then you make sure the job is 100%, and then you can just pay the thing off when the job is done. So sign documents electronically is going to reduce the time to close a deal by offering electronic document deliveries and signatures. An example of this would be, let's say that a customer calls you up and says, okay, we're ready to pull the trigger on the project. If you're not doing a digital sales process, or you don't have a way for the customers to sign a contract digitally, that wouldn't tell you to schedule an appointment with the homeowner to meet them. If there's a husband and a wife, you're going to have to wait for both of them to be home. Then you're going to have to send a sales rep out there to sign that up. So best case scenario, I mean, it's going to take you, that night when you're going to have to do it. So that prevents your rep from running another appointment. That prevents, that fills in a time slot for them to run an appointment the next day. It's inconvenient for the homeowner. The other scenario I would think about is, imagine that you had a change order, and the customer says, hey, we wanted to go ahead and add 2 more windows to the project. You're okay, well, let me send a rep back out there to sign this addendum. If you had a digital sales process, you could just send them a document right in their inbox. You don't even have to schedule an appointment. You could have the wife at work, the husband at work, and you can say, hey, I'm going to send you a document. It's going to come to your inbox first. As soon as you're done signing it, it's going to automatically go to your husband's inbox. As soon as he's done signing, we'll get a notification. We can have somebody reach out to you to schedule the next step. So and you do that all without having to schedule an appointment. It's very convenient for your homeowner. It's convenient for your sales rep. Your sales rep can run another appointment, blah, 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 blah. A contactless option for homeowners, we kind of already went over that. And then we will seamlessly link all your digital documents to your CRM. So as soon as your sales rep, homeowner are done signing the document, it will automatically dump wherever you need it to go. We can send it to an email and or into a CRM. We integrate with a bunch of the major CRMs. Just off the top of my head, Salesforce, Improvement 360, Market Sharp, Lead Perfection, and Job Nimbus. And we have more on our development roadmap that will be coming in the very near future. This really just segments right into the next slide. Instantly send information to the office or your CRM. I just want to read this quote from Chuck Chettle at Home Smart Industries. In the past, when a salesman went on an appointment, you're not going to see any paperwork until at least the next day if you're lucky. You might have made a phone call and reported the basic lead result, but you didn't get any details. Now with Leap, we're getting those contracts instantly. Leap, especially if it's connected to the internet. So even if you're not connected to the internet, a rep can still sign the contract and do everything that they need to do in the customer's house. The next time that the device connects to the internet, it will automatically upload those documents. And again, you point them to wherever you need. So whatever your process is when a sales rep is supposed to turn in a contract, your office manager gets it, your sales manager gets it, whoever is supposed to get that document to move it on to the next step, you would just point Leap to send that document directly to them. Put it in their inbox, put it in the CRM, and a rep doesn't even have to think about it. He just hits send and it goes everywhere it needs to go. It could be in the sales rep's inbox, the customer's inbox, your office manager's inbox, your sales manager's inbox, and the CRM all at once, and your rep does the same thing every single time. Number 9, we want to save time. Nobody wants to work inefficiently. So, time saved on each appointment due to added efficiency allows reps to get an extra sales appointment or two. Again, I'll just go back to another thing when I did in-home sales. When I was first using Leap, the first iteration of it was actually a spreadsheet, which a lot of people on this webinar probably nod their heads that, yeah, we're using a spreadsheet now. I still see a lot of them. And I've seen some very advanced spreadsheets to do a lot of cool things. The idea of Leap came from a spreadsheet. And when I started using an end-to-end solution, which is what became of Leap, when I was using an app in the house, initially all the other sales reps were just like, yeah, that's Steve's thing, whatever. But they were spending 2 and 3 hours in the house, especially on a sale, because they had to go through all the different options, and then they're flipping through the price book. They're doing all the math that goes along with having a manual price book. They're working up good, better, best options. They're working up custom options if the customer wants to throw you a curveball and ask for a miscellaneous estimate. Then they have to handwrite all those contracts. They're spending an extra hour, sometimes an hour and a half in the house just on, redundant things that can be eliminated with technology. So I remember I would run a lead and sell it, and I'd be out of the house max hour and a half, max. And, the other reps are still in the house. I'm on my second appointment, and sometimes I'd have my second deal signed and on my way home, and they're still signing up their first appointment. Now that was a good day, it's only 2 of them, but it happened. You can be way more efficient, save way more time, run more leads, make more money if you're using technology. Training and onboarding new reps faster. I've heard so many times. I've seen it firsthand. The company I worked for, where I remember our training was 2 weeks. A lot of the training, many days of it, was just on the paperwork aspect, how to fill out a credit application and calculate the math to put on the truth in lending disclosures. Back when I did in-home sales, we had to fill out all the truth in lending and do all the math manually. How to fill out a contract in each product page. So we had a contract for roofing, we had one for siding, one for windows. We had the financing page, we had the cash page, we had an addendum page. You had to train reps how to fill all those out. So training a rep now with Leap, you're going to give them an entire sales process that they can do from start to finish. And if they can fill out an estimate, they can fill out a contract, they can fill out a proposal, because everything is pretty much the same. And then you put checks and balances in place. So if they try to get to the next step without doing something that's required, then the app will stop them and tell them, hey, you got to go fill in this spot, and it usually highlights it in red. No more running back to the office with paper documents and checks. And that's another one. Checks, we have a way to capture credit cards remotely and digitally, but we also have a way to capture checks digitally, because there's a lot of contractors out there that say, hey, we have a digital process, and you're using 7 different apps to go digital, but they consider that their digital process. But the part that they haven't conquered was checks. What happens with the ref goes out there, he does everything digital, even though it takes them 7 apps to do it. How does he get the check in digitally? Well, he drives that to the office. Well, you got to still wait the 2 days and all things go along with the check. With Leap, we have a way that you can put the check information into the app. We capture it securely, but most importantly, a rep does not have to drive it back to the office, so you don't have to wait for it. And I can use that payment method to run multiple transactions. So I don't have to wait for a draw check. I don't have to meet the customer for them to give me another check when the materials get delivered. I don't have to pick up a completion check when the job is done. If I wanted to sign in a completion certificate, I could do that digitally and have the customer sign it, say via DocuSign electronically. I don't have to send a project manager or the sales rep or whoever back out to the customer's house, because I would have captured their banking account information with Leap at the point of sale, and then I can use that bank account information to run multiple ACH transactions through the Leap platform. And then my last bullet point is one login is all you need. This one is one of the, I don't know, probably like hidden gems of Leap, because again, I go back on that previous slide where I was talking about if a contractor wanted to go digital, there are tools out there that cover, different slices of the sales process. So there are tools like on the first slide I showed you with measurements, tools like Eagle View and Hover that allow you to generate the measurements. But that's all they're going to do. You could download that, you're going to get your measurements digitally. There are apps out there that will allow you to build a proposal for a specific product. Like the one that comes to mind was Provia. I remember when Provia came out with their app that allows me to price doors and windows, it was a game changer, because before I was doing it out of catalog and the customer never even knew what their door was going to look like until we installed it. So Provia came out with their app, and it's beautiful, which by the way, we do integrate with. But if you're using just the Provia app, that's the only thing it does is price up Provia doors and windows. It does not do the roofing or do roofing and siding and all the other stuff that I need to go along with it. If you wanted to do digital contracts, you could figure out a way to do digital contracts, but it's going to require you to have a totally separate app. So you get where I'm going with this. Theoretically, there are tools out there that will allow you to go digital, but you're going to have separate logins and separate training sessions and doing data entry multiple times across multiple apps. So where Leap is kind of the hub that connects everything together. You give your rep a username and password to Leap. You connect all your other integrations to Leap, your measurement tools, your DocuSign to do your digital signatures or remote signatures, your credit card processing, your check processing. We even have integrations with group chats. If you wanted your sales reps to know anytime a sales rep sold a deal, you can have Leap automatically post a message into a group chat to let all the other sales reps know that John sold for 10K. So it makes it so much easier to train your reps because you give them one platform that connects all of this stuff together. And then it also makes it like when you have turnover, you can just deactivate one account and all of their logins are gone, because it's all just connected into one. So in closing, a digital process, again, more now than ever, the whole digital thing is not going to go away when COVID goes away. I think it just put a gas pedal on the process. It's can't even talk, inevitable that the home improvement industry is going to go digital. I think we're one of the last, if not the last industry left untapped with technology. There's a lot of technology apps that are springing up. I do feel Leap is on the tip of the spear with them because we are the point of sale, kind of the hub that connects everybody else into one. Because without a sale, I guess in closing, I'll close with kind of what I'm leading with. Without your sales process, you do not have a business, and there's no reason why your sales process should not be digital. All of the little bullet points and stuff that I went over on this webinar kind of allude to that. It's going to help your sales reps. It's going to help your ownership. It's going to help your profit margins. It's much more professional in front of your customers. And it's a thing that you can be kind of at the forefront on, because right now, not everybody is doing it. More and more people are starting to do it. But this is the one of the ones that will really separate you from the competition if you're leading with everything digital and much more efficient than somebody who is not.
Steve, I wish I had this app back when I was selling many moons ago. It would certainly be a lifesaver. I'm going to just launch a poll one more time. If you're interested in learning more about Leap, let us know. Again, we're actually giving away an Amazon Echo Dot when you sign up and give us 30 minutes. But Steve, while people are answering that, I just wanted to. We had gotten a couple questions that I wanted to send your way. One of them, which is a pretty simple, and I think I could answer too, but a question about the financing that you had mentioned. What are the different lenders that Leap integrates with?
All right, let's see if I can remember them. Green Sky, Service Finance, Interbank, Fortiva, Foundation, Dividend. That's it. AmeriFirst, but
Okay.
I don't know what the status of AmeriFirst is. COVID did,
Yeah,
throw a wrench in that whole plan.
awesome. Yeah, no, appreciate that. I think that answers the question. We had another question about let's see, connectivity. I think you had mentioned it once when you were speaking, I think about the finance portion or maybe about the CRM portion, but do you need connectivity when utilizing Leap?
Yeah, so that's one. I remember when we started rolling Leap out. The company I work for, obviously, that was company number 0, right? That's where everything was kind of like sprung off. And one of the challenges we ran into was sales reps would go into a house that just is a dead zone. There was no cell signal. So before, what we do is we would either have an iPad that had cellular built into it, or they would connect to their hotspot. But if they had no cell signal, then we couldn't get the appointment in, we couldn't get the documents out. So anyway, we were like, it has to have kind of offline mode. So what happens when you log into Leap, it downloads everything that the rep could need, all of their brochures, all of their pricing information, contracts, proposal templates, etc., everything that they would need to run the appointment. And then if they don't have an internet connection, it will just use all the stuff that it downloaded. There are some things, like to submit a credit application for obvious reasons, you would need an internet connection. And then I think the measurement integrations, you would need an internet connection. But other than that, you should be able to go through an entire sale, a presentation, an estimate, good, better, best, proposal, send the contract, sign the contract, all without an internet connection.
Great. Yeah, appreciate that. I think that's really important and helpful. Another question we got was, what does the onboarding process look like if I were to come
Yep.
on board?
So when you come on board with Leap, you're assigned a support specialist, I guess, an onboarding specialist, that is what their job is to take companies and kind of a hand holding to get this thing implemented. So one of the things you'll find out, like when you onboard a software like Leap, it kind of takes your sales process to like an audit of like, we'll tell you, hey, here's all the things that you need. Like I think we have broken down like 9 steps of like a sales process. You need something for your, obviously price guide. You need something maybe if you do like your brochures and a pitch book or of some sort. Do you offer financing? Here's the steps to go along with it. And we'll basically just ask you all these questions about, what does your sales process currently look like? And there's going to come times where you're like, well, yeah, I don't like that. I've always wanted to change it. What do you guys recommend? And we have all these templates set up, and we've done it with over 1,000 companies now. We might be approaching 2,000 by now. Companies who have went through the onboarding process, set this thing up. We've seen what's good. We've seen what's bad. We have everybody from owner operators that are using Leap all the way up to companies who do hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue that are pushing all of their stuff through Leap. So we have all these templates and stuff that we've just learned, over the years of setting other companies up, and we'll just walk you through the process one-on-one with webinars, just like we're doing now. So there'll be Zooms, and then we'll just do screen shares, and we just have this whole kind of curriculum, for the lack of a better term, that we just walk you through. Process is going to take you, depending on your process, anywhere from, I would say, on a very, very low end, 2 weeks, and it can be, 90 days. It just all depends on how much time you want to dedicate it to it.
Yeah, great. Appreciate it. Looks like I got another question here. How hard is it to add another sales rep to my Leap account? I don't know if
I'll
that's from
answer
an
it in 2
onboarding.
ways. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
answer it in 2 ways. You can either add a sales rep as far as another license. If you're out of licenses, you can just message into the chat when you log into the dashboard, the website. There's a little chat bubble in the bottom right corner. You can just request another license to there. If you already have the license and you wanted to add another user, just click the account tab on the dashboard, and then users, and then add a new user.
And just in case, I think their question may be relative to the onboarding of getting them acclimated to Leap, as opposed to say a new sales rep, with a company that doesn't utilize Leap. I think that's where they're going with that.
Like, how do you train a new sales rep on it? Is that what you're saying?
How hard is it to train? How hard is it to add another sales rep?
Got it. Okay.
Or easy.
Yeah, right. So I actually have a story about this one. So one of the first companies that we signed up was a company. They have 150 sales reps that cover, I think, 30 states in the U.S. And when we rolled it out to them, they rolled it out to the whole company all at once. A lot of companies will do just like little segments. So they rolled it out to the whole company all at once with 150 sales reps, another, 20 or 30 sales managers that were using it. And they had a decent population of their sales reps were not tech savvy. They were of the generation that is like, using a flip phone, and that's considered advanced for them. When they usually, so the first things they got to get in the mindset, yes, they're willing to at least try it. right? So as long as you can get them to say, yes, I'm willing to at least try it, it made their life so much easier. Because one thing with Leap is it is not adding to what your sales reps are already doing. So for an example, if your sales reps wanted to, if you wanted to introduce a CRM, let's say you start a business, you're successful, and you're not using a CRM, and you know to get your business to the next step, you want to roll out a CRM to make things more efficient. But in order to you to get maximum benefit out of that CRM, it's going to require your sales reps to go in and type in notes and actually result their lead, which is something that they haven't been doing for the last 10 years that you've been in business. Well, that's another step onto their sales process. So you might get pushback, right? Well, in order to be a sales rep, you have to generate a price no matter what. You're going to get a price book, or you're going to call in somewhere to get a price, or somehow you have to do the math to come up with a price. You have to present that price to the homeowner. You have to, whether you're handwriting it, you're sending them an email, you're generating a PDF, whatever you're doing, you have to get the price to the homeowner. If you sell the deal, you have to write it up on a contract. You have to fill it out somehow with the colors, with all the selections. So, and basically what I'm describing is the sales process. There's no way to get around the sales process. So when you show, and the other thing is, I don't think you'll find a human that wants to be less efficient. Humans are naturally lazy. That's why we innovate so much like we do. So when you can show a sales rep, no matter their age, no matter their tech savviness, a way to do their job way more efficient, most of them are going to be all ears. And you show them, and Leap is, we've learned over the years how to make things more efficient and more intuitive and easier to use. And they just go in and point and click, and the things that they're already doing now, calculating prices, writing up proposals, writing up contracts, it's just going to be done so much faster using technology. And I mean, it's kind of like forced adoption too, because if you think about like cell phones, it's kind of that. There was a time where like the Motorola Razr, remember, like that was the latest and greatest thing, and it had a number pad on it. But then the iPhone came out, and there's like this period of transition. But now, like my wife's grandparents are in the late 80s, and they have a smartphone. You know what I
And
mean?
they're
They're sending
FaceTiming you.
emails. Yeah, right. Like they're sending emails, and it's so it's not. I don't think that that's it hasn't been an issue.
Yeah, that's great. Well, awesome. I think the information you shared is really helpful. Again, if you're interested in learning more about Leap, definitely take advantage of a call with our team. They're gonna do more than just tell you about Leap. They're actually going to have an in-depth conversation about your business and see if Leap can help you. So I'd encourage everybody to take that call. Steve, really appreciate it. If people want to get in contact with us, contact information is on the screen. But with see if you have anything else for them, I'll let you go ahead and close it, but appreciate the time.
Nope, that's it. Thanks, Tom.
Awesome. Appreciate everybody. Thanks.